Big thanks to Northeast Georgia Motorsports for letting me do my top 5 likes and dislikes on this bike. Really excited to share with you what I love and what I don't love about this new bike, which this is going to be more of a walk around video anyway, so it's not really a riding vlog. This will actually give you a little bit more up close and personal with the bike if you haven't seen one in person. Again, the Kawasaki Good Times demo tour is still out, so check a dealer near you and maybe you can get on this and demo it yourself. But let's hop into it and show you what I like and don't like. This is the 2019 Kawasaki ZX6R, all new, redesigned for this year. Now, this bike has got a lot of likes and a lot of dislikes, most of it being to the brand new redesigned front end, the front cowling, the headlights. Other than that, I mean, really no one's griped about anything too much. So let's talk about my 5 top likes and dislikes, and we'll start with the dislikes. These horrible, awful looking mirrors, and what's awful about it is that they just poke out like crazy. And you know, that might be a sport bike mod, I guess, or a OE sport bike feature that no one really likes. And realistically, if this bike had slimmer mirrors or bar-end mirrors or something, it would get rid of that goofy bug-eye mantis looking majig. Also, if we had to go with a top 5 dislike, I did really dislike these headlights for the longest time, but realistically, I really have begun, I should say, to like these a whole lot. It's just super sharp. It reminds me of the 03 ZX6R headlight style, which is great. And you just hit this thing at the right angle. But what is that? And that brings me to my number 2 dislike. And that's this big old muffler. Now, there's not much difference realistically under the plastics other than the plastics. That's the only difference. The muffler, the cat, everything is pretty much all the same from the fairings. Like this point down is the same as the last model. Engine, everything like that is exactly the same. Why they made this chrome, I have no idea. I wish they would have made it that matte black like the 18 model, and I would have been perfectly fine with it. If we had to work our way up into my next least favorite mod, it would be these guys right here. Now, you know, they're all redesigned for this year model. That's great. La-da-da. I just don't like the silver. You stand back and you look at it and you're like, man, what really pops about this bike, and it's the chrome muffler, the silver heel guards, and the turn signals. I mean, yes, they're flush mounted, but they're just really gaudy looking, and I just, if they were like smoked, they would look really good, but the fact that they're clear, I just can't get on with that. But that's not too hard of a fix. Some people paint them black, some people powder coat them, some people order black. Right along into my next least favorite mod, it is these flush turn signals. Now, don't get me wrong, they do flow with the fairing quite a bit, but they bulge out just a little bit, just enough to drive me crazy. And to compliment it, I wish they were LED like the headlights. Instead, they still have, I don't know if you guys can see it, they still have a bulb in there. Now, whether or not the bulb is LED, I'm not entirely too sure. But matter of fact, let me just go ahead and turn them on. I mean, it gets rid of the LED blinkers in the mirrors, but I don't know. I guess it is bulby style. I wish it was LED. That'd be really cool. So let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 5th least favorite thing about this bike, you guessed it. Oh, it's just so messy back here, is this long diving board of a rear fender tag bracket thingy-majig. I mean, look how it's almost as long as the muffler. And I get it, you know, it's cleaned up as opposed to last year's model, which is, you know, I mean, A for effort, right? But I just cannot get on with that. So obviously, just like any sport bike rider knows, a fender eliminator will clean that up. Obviously with this, you'll have to do an integrated tail light because you're getting rid of these things. All right, now that we've talked about my top 5 dislikes, let's talk about my top 5 likes. All right, let's talk about my number 1 like. I mean, these are in no particular order, but I must say that the new design on this bike, especially in the KRT, is unbelievable. This bike looks really weird when you see it on the internet and you don't get a good look at it and you're like, man, this thing is ugly as dog doo-doo. But you look at one of these in person and you're like, this is the sport bike king right here. And that's the fact. This bike under 10 grand, quick shifter, the power, the 636cc engine that's in it, man, the electronics, the brakes, you can't beat it. I love the new styling. It reminds me of the 03, I believe 04, like I mentioned. It's kind of weird to get used to it at first because it's so new. But just like the R1, everyone hated it. This is going to be the same way. And with the LED headlights, with the new redesigning, the new ram air intake, I mean, the front fender, the side fenders, even the new updated rear tail section, it all ties it together and makes this beautiful, beautiful sport bike. My number 2 favorite thing about this bike has got to be these brakes. Now, I know this isn't a visually beautiful subject, but these 4-piston Nissan brakes on the front, they bite so hard, they can about stop this thing on a dime. Back it up with the ABS system, and it's a no-brainer. I rode the ZX10, I've ridden an R6, I've ridden an R1, and these brakes are unbelievable. And that's the way it was for the 18 model. I couldn't believe how amazing these brakes were. From the initial bite all the way through the middle of the lever and then come into a stop, these things are amazing. And again, if you can test ride one of these and feel it, you would completely agree. And obviously with the Kawasaki intelligent braking system on this thing, it's pretty predictive. It's very, I think it's a hybrid system as they call it. So it's supposed to, you know, like predict before it even locks up. So I've stabbed the rear brake a couple times seeing how the ABS works. And I'll tell you right now, it does work. Moving on from the electronics, third favorite thing about this bike is the electronics. I haven't been able to fully ride this bike to its potential and probably never will because I'm a mere mortal. But the electronics are really, really good. Even in dry weather with the power mode on full, which you have full and low, and then traction control 3, 2, 1 and off. 3 being the most invasive and then 1 being the least invasive, and then off being just off. 3, power mode full, traction control 3. This bike will actually kick in when the wheel speed like greatly accelerates because I think it measures off the ABS sensor. So it kicks in and I'm very, very impressed. I'm kind of curious to see what it'll do in lesser of a traction mode, but again, with this bike having less than 600 miles, hasn't even had its first oil change, I'm not going to try that too much. Now this might seem like an unusual one, but I do love the instrument panel on this bike. Yeah, it looks like the 400, yeah, you know, it's got the similarities, but it's completely different, redesigned. You know, all your electronic assist over here, full power mode, traction control and quick shifter, temp gauge, I'm trying to get that glare out of the way, guys, I'm sorry. Speedometer, which is in big bold numbers, odometer, fuel gauge. Fuel gauge is great, most sport bikes don't have that. Even a regular temp gauge, if you select through the options, you got intake air, miles per gallon, oh man, sorry guys, average miles per gallon, and your range, which is really cool. Obviously, big old tachometer right here with your gear indicator, tongue-tied, my goodness, gear position indicator, and then all of your extra stuff over here, as well as the time. You've got your shift light right above it, which I'm pretty sure you guys saw when it first came on, but that's what that is. And it's just a really nice center aesthetic, very nice appealing gauge cluster, which I was kind of at first, but with it being redesigned, with it being updated for 2019, actually really like it, even though it is similar to the 400, which 400 owners can say, oh, my bike looks like a sport bike, which is cool because we've got this guy setting it all the way. If you guys watch my ZX10R review, you'll know I do not like the ZX10 instrument panel because it's just outdated. This one, it's really nice, really clean. All the information is there when you need it. And that now brings me to my final and favorite mod and change about the 2019 ZX6R. And you guessed it, because we're looking at it, it is the quick shifter. For a bike, sport bike, to come stock with one of these and allow clutchless upshifts without being over $10,000 is just unbelievable to me. And I cannot, I just still can't wrap my head around it because it's so smooth, so fluid, and it's a great, great compliment to this bike. You know, there's only one downside about this, and you can't have clutchless upshifts, or no, I'm sorry. You can't have clutchless downshifts, which is okay. And you can't switch it to GP shift, which is, again, okay. There's plenty of aftermarket companies out there that will add I believe that'll have a support feature where you can change it. Even, you know, Dave Moss has got the Cordana quick shifter on there, and it does work both ways where you can do it GP shift. And I even think he said you can do clutchless downshifts. So that might be something to look into later on. But nonetheless, for $10,000, this is the king of sport bikes, in my opinion. There's no other bike that's out there that can beat it. Even though I have my dislikes and people will hate on this redesign or restyling, if you will, you just can't beat it. This bike it's unbelievable. And I'm telling you, if you haven't seen one of these in person, head to the dealership and check one of these out, because as soon as you see one, you're gonna love it. And the first model I saw was the gray, and when I saw that thing, I was like, I've got to have one. I've got to have one. And then I rode one. I'm like, oh, I definitely got to have one. I need one of these in my life. And I guarantee you'll have that same reaction. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video about my top 5 likes and dislikes on this Kawasaki ZX6R 2019 model. Hope you enjoyed the walk around, kind of my opinion on it. And be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Head on over to Northeast Georgia Motorsports, where you can get a bike like this and even test ride one just like it. So thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.